and the boys were sitting around drinking. We was talking about things that we was thinking, when all of a sudden, what comes out of Bill's mouth? Said, I'm getting old and fat and slow, and I don't recover like I did before from nights of rabble, rousing and too much fun. Well, I looked around and we all agreed, and I had a drink and I ordered 3, and I staggered back to do it all again. Then we made an oath on a rum and coke with the best intention, I'm sure you know, that we would stop this living in excess. We're gonna have one more party, one more special occasion. Do it Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, holidays and weekends. We can have one more party. There's more hell we should be raising. One more party now, one more party tonight. Well, I got home about 3:15 that afternoon. She was waiting for me, all dressed to kill, and headed out the door. She said, see you later, baby, I'm going out alone. You can watch your kids, you can answer the phone, but don't wait up, cause I'm staying out all night. Well, I got real nervous and I started to shake, and I got the point she was trying to make. I begged her not to go.
So whenever someone comes onto my acreage for the first time, they always have the same question. What's that on your roof? Is that solar? Do you like it? So today I'm going to talk about what it's like to have solar, what kind of system I have, and answer a lot of the questions that I had. Because when I definitely got solar for the first time, finding a lot of the questions, there was either a lot of bias or I never really got what I was looking for. So let me tell you what I found out and how I like my system. So the solar system I have is I'm using net metering. So I can either use net metering or I can go fully off grid. Net metering means that basically the power that I produce goes right back into the grid. Absolutely none of it is powering my house. It just literally goes back into the grid. The system that I do have, so I originally was going to put it on my house, and that's why when I put it down on the land, I made sure that that roof was facing the south, because here in Saskatchewan, that's where the sun comes from, where we get most of it. Instead, talking to the guys, they told me to put it on my garage. So I have one on that bank, or that bank is on that roof, and on the other side is the other bank. So the guys that I went with to do my solar, they're based out of White City, Saskatchewan. It was True Green. Now, this is by no means am I advocating them or am I getting paid by them. Literally, how I chose them was I actually asked for quotes from a few different guys, and these guys actually got back to me. They were great. So like the salesman came out, he had a look, they did their estimates, and there's some actual communication back and forth. So the reason I went with them is literally because I didn't get the runaround. After building the acreage, I don't know if you guys have ever had to deal with all that, but I got sick and tired of dealing with contractors that say they'll show up, never show up, and all that other crap that comes along with it. So the main reason I went with them, they're easy to work with. I don't know if there's guys that are cheaper, if there's guys that are better. My electrician friend already said, like, oh, these guys would have been more awesome, but you know what? True Green actually came out, so good for them. The actual install was easy. I mean, they were really busy, but when they did come out, it was quick work. They had to wait a little bit because of wind, go figure. But essentially, here was the system. So this panel was on the roof. It all ties, so you saw out front, they had the big thing on the roof. It all comes into here and goes into my existing power box. As you can see, we have this neat little guy down here, and that pretty much lets it connect to the internet, so I can actually track everything, and that's really cool. After it kind of run through all those wires, or all into there, we have to do a big trench, and it goes into the house, ties into the existing power. The online system is great. I'll show you guys what it looks like in a little bit here. So this way I can actually track how much solar I'm creating, or how much energy I'm creating, all that good stuff. What I will tell you from what I have noticed is in the summer, I will create twice as what I burn. In the winter, I'll create about half of what I burn. So essentially what it works out is right now in the summer, I only pay the service charge that everyone has to pay for, they still got to maintain the lines and stuff. And then the rest, just all the energy, the credits get banked up. In the winter time, I'll get about 2-3 months of free power, so I don't have to worry about that. Now here's how it's all tracked. When they came, SAS Power had to come in and they replaced my meter with a dual meter. So basically it records how much is coming in and how much is going out, and that's how they determine how much I get paid. To be honest, I don't know. I think SAS Power is screwing me. It seems like my power bill just goes up, more and more. So it delivered, says 31,000, and then it'll switch over to received, 12,000. So you'll see I'm still obviously using more than I'm getting, but like I said, we live in Saskatchewan. Most of our time is spent in the winter, and there's not very much sunshine then. There is one thing when you are going to get solar in the wintertime that they tell you kind of helps balancing it out, because the solar cells are actually a lot more efficient in the cold. And all the little whatever things are closer together, so they collect sunlight a lot more efficiently. Although you just can't replace the amount of daylight that comes. So definitely if you're going to get into it, take that into account. So now you may ask, why did I go with net metering instead of off-grid? Well, if I was going to go off-grid, the setup that I have here is literally enough to power, you know, more or less, so it would create a little bit more than what I'm using. If I was to go off-grid, I need to do that. Plus, I need to have extra on there so I can still continue to charge the batteries. So I do want to go off-grid one day, and that's still great because then I can put them on my roof. And that the cost goes up significantly because I need that extra whole array of solar cells. Plus, I'm going to need a lot of batteries. We use a lot of power. We got 3 kids. We are hooked to electronics like everyone else. So it was literally going to double the price. So we went net metering, and they say it's going to pay for itself in about 8 years. I figure we're actually we'd be pretty close to that. So the cool thing with these, which is kind of cool and kind of not, each one of those cells, there's a whole schwack of them. Each one has its own micro inverter. So what happens is as soon as the sun hits it, the cell, it converts that energy into AC so it can go right back into the grid. Normally it comes in straight direct current so it can charge batteries, stuff like that. But to go to the grid, instead of having like one big inverter, each one converts. So very efficient for a net metering system. The downside, when I want to eventually go off grid, I need to get all new cells or else I gotta keep those, buy another inverter to turn it from alternating current to direct current to charge the batteries, and then coming off the batteries, I'm going to need another inverter to go from direct current to alternating current again. So in about 20-25 years, or whenever I get the funds that where I can actually go ahead and go off grid, or I'm ready to make that choice, I have to change the entire system. So keep that in mind, because if you are like me and you want to make that switch later, you only want to do it once, really think about what you want. Otherwise, if you're just sticking with net metering, it's great. You got a lot less stuff. And yeah, I don't know, works great so far. How do I like the solar otherwise? Well, like I said, it significantly cuts down my power bill. I have a big power bill. We got a lot of hydro items, you know, between 2 freezers, 2 refrigerators, everything. Actually, we got about 3 freezers. Like I said, we got the kids. I mean, it was getting really high. So in the summertime, it's nice to have one less bill. In the wintertime, it gets back up. The thing that ate up all my credits real quick was in that garage, I have a big, you know, 240 volt heater. I don't have the in-floor heat set up in there yet, so that's pretty much what ate all my credits last year. Because one good winter of that thing running, plus it's the coldest I can ever set the garage is 20 degrees, which is really hot for a garage. So do I think the solar is worth it? I do think so. It's hassle-free. The only maintenance I have to do is in the wintertime. I use a leaf blower to blow the snow off. I could probably use a shovel, or sorry, not a shovel, but a broom. But you know what? It's worth it. At least I think. It was a big cost up front. You can finance that. Talk to your if you want to go that route, go ahead. But I don't suggest getting in debt unless it's something that you really, really want, and you know you're not going to debt yourself to death, kind of thing. Don't do that. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm in finances, and I don't like that. We're doing everything we can to get out. So really make sure it's going to be worthwhile. But as far as solar goes, I love it. It's going to add some value to my house with the markets right now. I could use all the value I can get, but it's great. Like I said, I can track it all online. It uses this Enlighten on phase, and it's kind of neat, so I can track everything. Now, like I said, there's the one big pain in the butt, because it does have to connect to the internet. So therefore, my Wi-Fi needs to reach out there. For our rural internet, the one router does just enough for the house, so I do have a second wireless router. So I can track what I make. Now it has no, or so like I said, as you can see, it's not reporting. So that second router has to reach out there, and I always have to reset it. It's router problems, so it's kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt. It's supposedly, they'll send me emails if I go for a long time. The longest when we switched over internet providers, I went for a month without reporting. It has no bearing on my, my actual bill, because all that is tracked through the actual meter that's outside on the pedestal. But otherwise, it's really neat because now I can go ahead and track. I can make sure that what's being reported there is the same as here. It gives me kind of, I can look at a history. So if I can set up, like, here's what it had for the 20th, which was yesterday, and I can compare it to the day before. So yesterday, or the day before yesterday, we always had a lot more sun coming in. And it can tell me the peak production hours. You can tell this was obviously like for yesterday, because we had clouds and rain. You can tell same thing here as the clouds are rolling in and out. And I can also compare it to last year, and I can see that, well, last year, yesterday, we had a little bit more sun in certain areas, but it'll kind of give us it gives me an idea of how good, how much we created last year to what we did this year. This year it shows that we actually, yesterday we had 10 more kilowatt hours as compared to, as well. Give me a status on all of them. So it shows, it's going to show what they kind of did last, or how much they collected throughout the day. The other good thing is, because if there's an actual issue with one of these and just one isn't reporting, so if none are reporting, then I know that's the internet. But if one is not reporting, then I know there's something wrong with that cell. There's a 25-year warranty, so if there's an issue, I just have to go ahead and call them. Oh, looks like everything updated. So therefore, it must have connected with the internet, and just that easy. There's the 21st, which is today. So as you can see, sunrise in the east, they've obviously collected a lot more than the west array, because the sun's gonna go hit these ones, go across, hit the west. So that way I can use all day kind of thing. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of what it is. It has a lot of other neat little things by equivalent. So I've fed, like, in a day, I powered 100-watt bulbs for 17 nights. It tells me how many trees I saved, all that. And you can switch it to year, and I don't know, it's just a little UFI that I don't know, I eat that shit up. So yeah, that in a nutshell is what comes with the online. So no, it still says not reporting. That's just, it's still updating. So in a nutshell, solar power, net metering, is it worth it? I don't think it's going to take the 25 years like some people say it's going to take that long for it to pay for themselves. I think it'll take about that 8 to 10, which isn't really quick, but as far as investments go, if you can get your money back in that long, why not? As well, it is going to add value to the house. Do I know how much? No, I have to see. And the way the markets are, I wouldn't get an accurate thing right now anyways. I'm not getting much for anything on my acreage. Maintenance wise, it's great. Does it produce enough? Yeah, it does. Obviously, the more you get, but we had it set up from what the guys recommended, and it's been working great. If I was to have enough cells, so even in the winter time, I would still be breaking even. That would have been a lot of money. Net metering versus off-grid. Off-grid, you're paying a lot more. Yeah, you're going to be saving money on your power bill. That's going to take a long time to pay for itself, because you got a lot more costs you got to recoup. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of her. If you were looking at getting solar, I do recommend it. Save the planet. And you know what? I think it's the way the future, so go with it. But that's all for Garage Beers today. Have a great day.